In the year 2275, humanity had made remarkable progress, establishing peaceful alliances with various alien species across the galaxy. Earth, once struggling to find its place among the stars, was now a respected member of the intergalactic community. The United Earth Federation, UEF, had worked tirelessly to ensure Earth's growth, negotiating trade agreements and forming defensive alliances with technologically advanced species. Captain Ezra Carter, a decorated officer in the Earth Fleet, was one of the UEF's top negotiators. Known for his intelligence and calm demeanor under pressure, he was chosen to represent Earth in a historic negotiation with the Vargoth. The Vargoth were an ancient, powerful species, known for their strategic genius and unmatched technology. Their ships were colossal, their warriors feared, and their queen Zera-Al was said to be as wise as she was fierce. The negotiation was to take place on the Vargoth capital ship, a magnificent vessel the size of a small moon. The room where the talks were to be held was adorned with alien art, holographic projections, and strange symbols that seemed to dance across the walls. It was a room that radiated power and history, a place where decisions that could shape the future of the galaxy were made. Ezra entered the chamber with his fellow UEF diplomats, his heart pounding. He had faced countless meetings, but this one felt different. The Vargoth were known for their demanding expectations, and Queen Zera-Al, who would oversee the talks, was no stranger to authority. There was no room for error here. The room fell silent as the alien ambassadors took their seats. At the far end of the chamber sat Queen Zera-Al on her throne, a figure both regal and terrifying. Her silver hair flowed down her back like a cascade of starlight, and her pale blue skin glowed with an ethereal light. She was the embodiment of control, the very picture of alien grace and command. Ezra took a deep breath as he stepped forward to greet the queen. Her cold gaze met his, and for a moment, the room seemed to disappear. It was as if time itself had paused. There was no warmth in her eyes, no softness. She was a ruler, and Ezra knew that if he was to succeed here, he would have to earn her respect. The discussions began as expected, with the ambassadors from both sides laying out their positions. Earth's representatives spoke of trade and technology, while the Vargoth emphasized the importance of mutual defense and cooperation. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, until the moment came that no one anticipated. Queen Zera-Al rose from her throne, her movements fluid and deliberate. The room grew tense as all eyes were drawn to her. She was no longer the calm and composed figure who had presided over the discussions. There was something different in the air, an undeniable shift in energy. Ezra felt a chill run down his spine. Zera-Al raised her hand, pointing directly at Ezra. The room fell into absolute silence. Every ambassador, every leader, every Vargoth delegate froze in place. It was as if time itself had come to a halt. Ezra's breath caught in his throat and his heart raced. He had no idea what was happening, but something told him that this moment was going to change everything. The queen's voice echoed across the room, breaking the silence. "That one belongs to me." Her words were simple, yet their weight was immense. Ezra looked around the room, but no one moved. The alien diplomats stared at the queen, their faces filled with confusion and disbelief. Not a single person dared to speak. The tension in the room was palpable. Ezra's mind raced. What did this mean? Was this some kind of political maneuver? Was it a test? Or was there something deeper at play here? Something beyond his understanding? He had heard of the Vargoth's strict ways, their belief in survival of the fittest, but this was something entirely new. The queen stepped down from her throne, her steps echoing in the vast chamber. Her eyes never left Ezra's, and he could feel the weight of her gaze as if she were seeing something in him that no one else could. Her presence was commanding, and despite the uncertainty, Ezra could not help but feel a strange sense of respect for her. She stopped just in front of him, her voice soft but firm. "You have been chosen, Captain Ezra Carter. You will be the symbol of our alliance. You are the one who will bridge the gap between our peoples." Ezra's mind struggled to process her words. He had come here to represent Earth, to negotiate a deal for peace and prosperity, not to become some symbol. He glanced at his fellow diplomats, but they were still frozen, as though they were mere statues. This was beyond anything he had ever encountered. Zera-Al continued, her voice low and commanding. You are not just a representative of your people, Ezra. You are a catalyst, a force of nature. The future of our alliance depends on you, whether you understand it now or not. Ezra's heart pounded in his chest. His mind screamed for answers, but none came. How could he, a simple human, be the key to something so monumental? His entire life had been spent as a soldier, a negotiator, someone who followed orders. But now it seemed the rules had changed. The Queen's hand moved slightly, her fingers tracing the air. Your people have something that the galaxy has not seen before, Ezra. A power. A potential that even I cannot fully comprehend. You are here because I believe that potential must be unlocked. Ezra was speechless. He had no idea what the Queen meant, but the weight of her words was undeniable. He had always believed that humanity was just one species among many. But now, it seemed, there was something more to their existence. Something that set them apart. I don't understand, Ezra said, his voice barely a whisper. What do you mean? The Queen's gaze softened just for a moment. You will in time. But for now, know this. You and all of humanity have been chosen to lead. Not as subordinates, not as tools, but as the future. With that, the Queen turned and returned to her throne, her presence still looming over Ezra. The room began to thaw, the delegates slowly regaining their composure. The tension in the air remained, but now there was a new energy, one of uncertainty and awe. Ezra stood there, still in shock, as the negotiation resumed. But in the back of his mind, one question lingered. What had just happened? And why had he of all people been chosen? As the meeting continued, Ezra couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just been altered forever. He had come here to represent Earth, but now, it seemed, he was part of something much bigger than he could have ever imagined. The days that followed the Vargoth summit were nothing like anything Captain Ezra Carter had ever experienced. After Queen Zeraal's shocking declaration, he found himself caught in a whirlwind of confusion, doubt, and awe. The entire universe had just shifted beneath his feet, and he wasn't sure whether to embrace it or run from it. The Vargoth capital ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It floated in space like an ancient city, surrounded by shimmering shields and strange lights. As the ship traveled through the void, Ezra couldn't help but feel small. His thoughts often drifted back to the moment when the Queen had pointed at him, declaring that he belonged to her, and how the galaxy seemed to freeze in that instant. What did she mean? What did he have that made him so special? He had spent years studying other species, learning their ways and understanding their culture. Yet no amount of knowledge had prepared him for this. He had been a soldier, a negotiator, always prepared for the challenges ahead. But now everything seemed uncertain. The truth was, he wasn't sure whether he was the representative of Earth or something much more. Something that no one could fully understand, not even him. The following days were filled with meetings, training sessions, and private talks with the Queen. Every time Ezra walked into the room, the air seemed to grow heavier. The Vargoth, despite their stoic demeanor, watched him closely. They respected him, yes, but there was also a sense of fear of what he might become. Ezra's interactions with Queen Zeraal were filled with cryptic conversations. She would often speak of the potential that lay dormant within humanity, the same potential she believed Ezra held. She had explained to him that humanity had an energy, a drive that the galaxy had never seen before, a resilience that could not be broken no matter the odds, and it was that very quality that had drawn her to him. You are the bridge, Ezra, she said one evening, her voice soft yet commanding. You are the one who will unite the galaxy. It is not just your strength or your intellect that I value, but your ability to adapt, to survive. It is that power within you that I seek. Ezra listened intently, trying to make sense of her words, but even though her explanations seemed logical, they felt like pieces of a puzzle he could not solve. He was just one man. How could he possibly be the key to galactic unity? On the fourth day, Queen Zeraal invited Ezra to a private council meeting. It was the first time she had addressed him in such a manner, and he knew it was important. As he entered the chamber, he noticed the room was empty except for the Queen. She sat at a long table, her face illuminated by the glow of the star outside the ship's windows. Captain, she said, her voice serious, the galaxy is on the brink of war. The peace that we've carefully maintained is fragile. There are forces at work that wish to destroy what we have built, to tear apart everything we've fought for. Ezra raised an eyebrow. And you think I can stop it? The Queen smiled, though it was a rare and fleeting thing. Not you alone, Ezra. But humanity as a whole has the potential to do what no one else can. The universe is vast, and many of the species within it have grown complacent. They have lost the will to fight for what is right. But you, Captain, and your people are different. You have not forgotten what it means to fight for survival, for justice, for each other. Ezra felt a mix of confusion and pride. He had always known that humanity was resilient, but this was something far grander than anything he had imagined. The Queen wasn't just talking about Earth's survival. She was talking about the survival of the entire galaxy. "Why me?" he asked, his voice low. "Why choose me for this? I'm just one man. I don't have the power to change the course of history." Zira-al stood and walked toward the window, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. "You may be just one man, Ezra, but you represent something greater. You represent a species that has never given up, no matter how many times it has been knocked down. You represent the fire of rebellion, the spark of innovation, and the will to fight. It is that spirit, that undying resolve, that the galaxy needs now more than ever." Ezra absorbed her words in silence. There was something in her voice, something that made him believe that humanity really did have a role to play in the future of the galaxy. But he still couldn't shake the feeling that he was in over his head. Over the next few days, Ezra was taken to different parts of the Vargoth ship. He was shown incredible technology, weapons that could change the course of battles, and strategic maps of the galaxy. It was clear that the Vargoth had the means to wage a devastating war. But what struck him most was the way they spoke of peace. The Vargoth were a species built on conquest, but their queen had come to realize that peace was the true key to power, and they needed humanity's help to maintain it. On the 6th day, Ezra stood at the ship's observation deck staring out at the stars. He could see the vastness of space, the countless worlds, and the civilizations that called it home. For the first time in his life, he felt small. The weight of the Queen's words, the responsibility that now rested on his shoulders, was almost too much to bear. As he stood there lost in thought, Queen Zira-al appeared beside him. She looked out at the stars too, but her gaze was steady, unwavering. "You understand now, don't you?" she asked softly. Ezra nodded slowly. "I understand more than I ever thought I would. Humanity is not just a part of this galaxy. We are the key to its future." Zira-al placed a hand on his shoulder. "And you, Captain, will be the one to lead us there. Together, we will ensure that peace is not just a fleeting dream, but a lasting reality." Ezra turned to her, his resolve hardening. He had come to this ship as a simple diplomat, representing his people. But now he had a new purpose. He was not just an emissary of Earth. He was the symbol of something far greater. The Vargoth had seen it, and now he had to see it too. The Queen's gaze softened, a rare and quiet moment of understanding between them. "You are ready, Ezra. It is time." With that, Ezra Carter made a choice. He would no longer just represent Earth. He would represent all of humanity, all of its potential, its resilience, and its spirit. And together with the Vargoth, he would fight to ensure that the galaxy's future was one of peace, not destruction. As the ship sailed deeper into the unknown reaches of space, Ezra knew that the journey ahead would not be easy. But he also knew that humanity's place in the galaxy had just begun, and he would be at the forefront of it. The stars were no longer just distant points of light. They were the future, and humanity was going to lead the way.